Hi, Alena. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So we'll just go right into it. Tell me a little bit about who you are, like where you live, what you do, like for a W-2 job.
Yeah. So I don't have a W-2. I am a
Nice.
full-time entrepreneur. I
Awesome.
live in Dallas, Texas. I'm married to my husband, Orlando, for 19 years, and we have 6 kids. I'm on my 13th year of homeschooling.
Wow.
And I am an investor, real estate and businesses. And right now we're working on acquiring businesses.
Nice.
So that's me.
Very cool. And the businesses, is it through what we're learning, like what is actually coming out next week with Pace, or maybe you followed Cody Sanchez or someone else?
I love Cody Sanchez so
She's
much.
great.
But no, I actually, Abraham Gray is in the group.
Okay.
And he hosted a mastermind in Tampa in February this year with Carl Allen. And so I was able to attend and joined the protege program with Carl Allen. So I study there. And it's so crazy how much has expanded my vision from understanding the crossover. There's about a 70% crossover between single family, multifamily, and business acquisitions. A lot of the biggest difference between the three is after the fact, but actually acquiring a lot of it, it's if you know one, you know the others.
Okay.
So it's been awesome going down that journey.
So what came first then? Like, did you join Sub2 first?
Yes. Well, my husband Orlando and I have been interested in real estate for 20 years. Literally 20 years.
Since the beginning. Yeah.
We met 20 years ago, and literally the first night, the first conversation we had, we talked about real estate investment. And it's so crazy. So, and I was like telling him, like, I want to invest in real estate. This is what I want to do. I had just read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Okay.
And so I'm like, what do you do? And he's like, I'm a real estate agent. And I'm like, no, you're not. That's fake. But he really was. But he was doing it more like, more the traditional real estate side of things. And he didn't end up loving it. So he pivoted and switched and switched careers entirely. But that's always kind of been the goal, is that we would like to invest in real estate. And we always kind of felt like we had to go the Burr method, or we traditionally put the 20% down and acquire a property. And so we were looking to always invest in real estate, but it just hadn't gotten started. So last year we invested in another coaching program to learn wholesaling. And I got into the program and was just like, this isn't it. I don't know what's missing, but I know there's more to this. And it was kind of this little opening in the expansion of like seeing the picture I see now. Holy cow. But so I in that pursuit, I attended a real estate event, and I saw a presentation on creative finance, and I just started networking and talking to people. And like 6 different people I talked to were like, you need to look up Pace Morby. And I was like, okay, that sounds like a fake name. Right. I'm like, who is this guy? They're like, just look him up. He's everywhere. I'm like, he's not everywhere. I've been looking at real estate for 20 years. He's not everywhere. Yeah, no, now I see, like, he is. I don't know. I had blinders on. But so my husband watched 3 videos of Pace and was like, you need to pay attention to this, and put it in front of me. I'm like, yeah, I'm connecting. I'm networking. I will later. I watched half of a YouTube video of Pace, and I was like, this is a guy I can learn from. Everything he's saying makes sense. And I want to jump into this. So we invested in Sub2 and have grown from there. It's really opened up our eyes to doing this not on our own, but as a community,
right.
Working with partners, and just what I knew studying the last 20 years was nothing compared to what I know.
Wow.
From joining Sub2.
That's huge. That's huge. 20 years on your own, just navigating YouTube and even networking on your own, compared to being immersed in this sub-2 culture, if you will, and
Yeah,
sounds like you've learned, it just expedited your learning.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it hasn't been my sole focus for 20 years. But like I built other businesses with the intention of investing in real estate. And it was like, it just seemed like it was never going to happen. And sub 2 really like changed my perspective so much, really made it possible.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, we've been dancing around the sub 2. So what is your avatar? I think I know. I think you're direct to seller visionary, but I could be wrong. What is?
I love that. So I have been direct to seller visionary. I am a closer.
Okay.
I am a helper. I am a leader. And I'm also a gator. But my main avatar that I'm working on now is a connector. I am a connector.
And then how did you like decide? Like that's like being brand new, like that's definitely been my struggle, is like I came into this, like a quick backstory, like I came into this, my dad added me on as his business partner, and he was like, okay, I'm direct to seller visionary. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll be like your back paperwork person. And I was like, I'll learn like transaction coordinating. Yeah. But then he got more busy with his regular general contractor business and actually realized he couldn't step away from it. Like he didn't build it up enough to where he can be hands-free. So that's exactly what he needs to be doing right now, is building it and scaling it to where he's not there on a day-to-day. But since he stepped away from sub 2, it's like, well, I don't actually want to be a transactional coordinator. So trying to navigate, my avatar, I guess.
I love that. I love this question. I very quickly decided like I'm going to be a leader, but then it was like, I don't know anything about anything yet. But sort of like knowing that I wanted to step into that role, it's made me connect with a lot of people, talk to a lot of people. Yeah. And this is a problem that comes up in almost every conversation that I have, is where do I start? How do I find my avatar? How do I commit to an avatar? And so I'm also a life coach. And so I love talking to people, strategizing with people about where their superpower zone is, because everyone has that and not everyone knows how to utilize it. And it's especially hard. So for me, like as a visionary, so Pace teaches the Avatar series.
You use the visionary to pull in as a life coach and help people walk through. Like you can see someone's big picture and be like, and help them focus in. I love that.
Absolutely. And actually my number one strength. So have you heard of the Clifton Strengths Test?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So my number one strength is actually individualization. And my number 2 is futuristic. So I see a person as an individual very clearly. Like I get a picture of who you are and what potential you have, what strengths you have. Like it just very naturally happens with me. And then I can help strategize. And the futuristic part, like I can see where you're going and what you're wanting to do.
Wow.
So it's so fun for me. Like I was made for this. So it's funny because like I came into sub 2 wanting to do real estate. And actually I think the connector avatar makes so much more sense to me.
Okay.
Because I love getting one-on-one with people and having those individual conversations. And like I said, so many people coming in have no idea how to approach the avatar series. When you're a visionary, usually you're coming in and you can see yourself. So Pace teaches 19 different avatars. I would argue that there are actually more than that, but Pace has got it narrowed down to 19. So when I did the avatar series, I was like, well, this doesn't help me at all because I'm like 13 of them. And you've heard me, right? I'm like, you heard my list of avatars. I didn't do those all at once. I definitely tried to do several at a time, but it's like, oh my gosh, how do you pick a lane? How do you try? How do you figure this out? As a visionary, you're like, I can see myself in any of them. My husband, Orlando, is an integrator. So for him, the list was a lot smaller. He's more decisive and he can just very easily see like, this is something I would enjoy, or this, or this, or this. But even still for him as an integrator, it was hard to narrow down what do I think I'm going to like? What makes sense for me? So the thing is, as you go through the Avatar series, you are thinking about your natural strengths, how you can contribute in that role, how much you think you're going to like it, but you're really not going to know until you try it. So when it comes to that point where you funnel it down, even if you have 13 or 6 or whatever it is, then it comes to a decision. What am I going to commit to for 90 days, 60 to 90 days that I'm going to give it my all and see what happens? I'm going to go all in on this. I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to be this avatar and see where I'm at. And you will know as you get down that road, okay, this makes sense to me, or this isn't really what fulfills me. So it's interesting that you picked up like direct to seller visionary for me right away. I definitely am suited for that role, but it's not what fulfills me the most. What fulfills me the most is connector. And so like I did start there, but then I had, I had to pivot.
Yeah. And I love that it's like who you are, and it's not necessarily real estate, like necessarily, like it's not like acquisitions, like, it's not, it's like the essence of who you are and just connecting to that person. So it makes sense. Connector. I love that.
Yeah. You might be a connector too. Who knows?
Maybe. I don't know. I guess, but I like what you said about it's okay that you can identify or like with a couple of things and then just literally go down the list and just give it all you have. Like focus on that one thing for like the 6 months and then feel it out. And like, does this feel like that? Like, even though you said that you definitely can and are a direct to seller visionary, it didn't fulfill you the way being a connector fulfills you.
Yeah. Awesome. And it's this journey. It's so much self-development. You don't realize until you kind of get in there and you're like, okay, it's not just, like a W-2 job where it's like you fit yourself to the job. Here are the expectations. This is what needs to go into it. Now there is some of that, of course, but there are so many options. There's so many ways to make money in real estate. And what we're all chasing is freedom. We don't want to feel like we're doing work. Now, obviously we've got to put in the work. There are hard things to overcome, but you want that fulfillment and that freedom that feels like you're not working when you're working. And so that's the thing, is you get to apply yourself and which roles fit to you. And it's opposite of how you would approach like say a job interview, in the corporate world, in the W-2 world. You're trying to fit the job.
You're trying to fit the
here
job
you get to fit the job to you. And
makes sense.
It's unnerving. It's uncomfortable because you're like, I've never done this before. Just tell me what to do.
Makes so much sense. I could talk to you forever. Yeah.
I'm excited to have more conversations with you and talk to you about like your avatars and where you're thinking and just kind of get to know you more. I love that you've done the Clifton Strengths test too, because I feel like that gives so much clarity. You have to know where your skills and where your fulfillment zones are before you can make those decisions.
Right. That's so good. So how long have you been in a part of Sub 2 then?
A year next month.
Wow. And immediately did you jump into Mastermind as well?
Pretty much, yeah. Within 2 months we were at Mastermind. It's all kind of a blur. I joined, and the next month I won a golden ticket for my activity in the Facebook group. So I was in Phoenix in October, a month later, and then in November we were at Mastermind, and then in December Orlando won the golden ticket, and Pace had the premiere for the launch of his show Triple Digit Flip. So I tagged along and got to go, and so we were in Phoenix 3 months in a row.
Wow.
And in September, like 3 weeks after we joined, Pace was in Dallas. So we got to meet him in person then, but it was crazy because it was like, I've never heard of this guy. And then all of a sudden
It's
Now I've
took
met
up your
Paige,
whole life.
yeah, like 4 and 5 times in a couple months.
Wow. Talk about, yeah, such a difference in the last 20 years and then getting plugged in and really accelerating.
Yeah,
quickly.
it's like I had a fast forward button push. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, switching gears, I have one more big question. Is I'm so curious what your plan is for Project Future. Like what your goals, your vision for that is. I'm so curious.
Oh yeah, Project Forward.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay, so do you mean about my podcast, like what I'm doing on my podcast?
Yeah, like what your niche is. Like, are you going to pull in like being a connector? Like, are you like, yeah, I'm just curious what your plan is for.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm absolutely going to use my platform to connect and have conversations. My first podcast was actually an accident. I really enjoy having conversations with people, and I really enjoy being present. And so a lot of times I will record, like screen record my meetings so that I can take notes after the fact and make sure that I can be present in the phone call. And so I connected with another connector who is also in Project Forward, Christopher Rabe. He's awesome. And we're having this great conversation, kind of pulling a little coaching into it, talking about some blocks, that kind of stuff. And he's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. He's like, you should have been recording this. And so I'm glad I actually am recording it. And I was like, but I'm not recording it for a podcast. I'm just recording to have, for my own memory. And he's like, oh, okay. So by the end of it, he's like, okay, well, I gave him some challenges during the podcast, some things to work on, and some strategies to maybe consider. And so by the end, he said, well, okay, well, I challenge you to post this as your first podcast. And I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Ready or not, here we go.
Wow.
But my goal is just to have real conversations, to have connections. I definitely want to focus on business acquisitions, marketing strategies, and the things that people are doing to achieve success and to overcome mindset blocks or limitations that they have realized are detrimental to their strategy moving forward. Because we all have this, we all have these superpower zones, and we all have the ability to have these blind spots where we get in our head or something isn't working right and we don't quite understand why. So I definitely want to bring in a lot of the coaching and the strategy aspect into my channel. So I'm doing a podcast, but I'm also going to be putting out other content throughout my channel. So I'll have different playlists and things to help people out along their journey.
Love that. Well, I definitely look forward to subscribing and watching that, getting some nuggets along the way.
Yes, thank you. I would love that.
Definitely. That's awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely need to connect again. And yeah, curious to know more about that coaching side for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's see here. So to wrap up, just a couple last pieces of like dropping some knowledge kind of a thing. What would you say some offers, some advice for someone like brand new to real estate, someone like me, as far as like some tips or any type of story related to failure or success?
Yeah. So I love this because like I said, I spent a lot of the last year talking to brand new students. So I have this conversation on a basically daily basis at this point. And my advice is, number one, that you need to take the test rocket fuel. You need to understand whether you're a visionary or an integrator. Number two, you need to jump into the Avatar series and figure out the strategy that you're going to move forward on. It like also respecting your strengths, your fulfillment zones, who you are. And if you haven't figured out your strengths and your personal zone, then you may benefit from some coaching. And that's kind of where my coaching is that I help people really get to know themselves and how to apply themselves to the business they're trying to create.
Gotcha.
Don't overwhelm yourself with the Zooms.
Yeah. Shiny object syndrome
That
and all of
stuff's
that. Yeah.
crazy, and
Yeah.
you are never going to keep up with pace.
Yes. Yes.
But also the other thing is just to start connecting as soon as you possibly can, because every person you meet is going to bring a new perspective. And especially if there's an avatar that you're considering, you want to speak to someone who's working within that zone to just give you some, like, what does your day look like? What does this look like in your life? You know, and see if you can picture yourself there. But it's amazing what happens when you can talk to different people and just get to know them. There's so much value in the challenge that Pace threw out to like make 50 friends. And a lot of people wait on that.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know. I definitely did. I was like, okay, I don't know what to say to people. I posted and people responded, but I was like, I don't know what to say to these people. I have no value to bring here.
Right. Okay. That's where I'm at. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where everybody starts, right? Okay. Everybody comes in here and they're like, I don't know what to say yet. But you have so much value to bring to the table. You had a whole life before this. You don't have the knowledge in real estate, but you have a natural skill set that can complement someone else's weakness, blind spots. You have something that other people need, and it's not just real estate related. There's a lot of value in who you are as a person. So just get out there, connect, and see who you talk to and what kind of direction that you can go from there. If I were to do it over again, I would have started connecting sooner. It would have still felt awkward. I would have still been nervous every time I had a conversation, but I would have gotten where I wanted to go so much quicker.
Yeah, that is amazing advice.
Yeah.
And it's totally aligned with, I believe, Pace's whole vision for Project Future, Project Forward. I keep calling it Future. Project Forward. It's, yeah, and like even like go interview some people and get out there and make some friends. So
yes, and I love that you asked me to do this interview, because this is exactly what I'm saying about, you know, connecting with people. And Project Forward just gives you that excuse, because it's like, can you do an interview? Like, and I know that probably felt like so awkward reaching out, but I'm so glad that you did, because I am so enjoying getting to know you and getting to have this conversation with you. And I love podcast guesting. I like the guesting part actually more than the interview part.
Okay.
But it's amazing how many connections you can make and how many amazing conversations you can have. So this is really pushing us all out of our comfort zone, but it is for the best. And I'm so excited to see what happens moving forward with it.
Absolutely. Like you said, it's all about just our self-development and putting ourselves out there and being vulnerable. That's okay. And yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I actually did. I did those tests. I did that Clifton strengths test, but it's been a long time. Like I did it for work maybe 15 years ago, and I'd have to pull it up, but I want to say mine was like Harmony was up there. Harmony was a big one. There's like 5, I think, and I will definitely pull it up and get back to you on what it was.
You will have to pull it up. So that's so crazy. My husband Orlando's number 1 is Harmony.
Okay.
So he's like very relationship oriented.
Yes.
And he, oh my gosh, it was so endearing reading his results and knowing him and just like seeing it on paper. It was just like, oh my gosh, that is so who you are.
Yeah.
So I was actually on a call earlier today on a Zoom with a Clifton Strengths coach in Vina Jetty's group, Mastering Multifamily with Vina Jetty. And she brought on Rosie Noel, and she's a Clifton Strengths coach. And so she was just saying that basically, like, once you take the test, it's pretty much always valid. If it's been 10 years or more, you might want to do another test.
Okay.
But there's not going to be much of a shift usually. So you're usually going to still have applicable strengths there, even though you took the test that long ago.
Yeah, I definitely will pull it up and do it again just to see what it looks like. And then I
Yeah.
did that the rocket fuel, rocket something, just to see, and I scored like, I think 50-49, like straight down the middle, visionary and integrated. But then it said something like, you may not be either. And honestly, I don't think I am either, because there was, I don't know, can you be neither? Like,
yes.
okay.
Yes. Carl Allen lovingly calls a person who's a visionary and an integrator a divergent, which I love, because it's like, you're both. Yeah, you can absolutely be both. And you can be, there are so many unique positions that only you would be suitable for or best suitable for in that zone when you're both. So someone who is like a project manager who has to see the vision of what's going to happen, but they also need to integrate all of those pieces. Like, you're going to be working and pulling from strengths within both of those zones in that type of position. So it's awesome that you have that knowledge and that base to grow from, but it also doesn't help you with what I was saying earlier, where it's like, if you're a visionary this, and if you're an integrator that, because it makes it a little more confusing. But really, it's about how you think. That's what it all comes down to, is how you think and how you process things. As a dominantly visionary, I do have some integrator in me, but as a dominantly visionary, I think in the future most of the time. I am thinking about what I'm building, where I'm going, every move I make. It's like, where is this going to lead? Whereas my husband, who's an integrator, does have some visionary, but dominantly integrator, he more thinks about the day-to-day. What has to happen right now to maintain or to improve in the immediate future, like, or in the immediate present. He more thinks in right now. So having aspects of both, you may kind of flip in between.
Yeah, definitely.
Or certain things may bring certain aspects out of you. So there are a lot of times, like, in relationship, because my husband is very relationship oriented, where that visionary side of him will come out, and he is more able to be there, but he's also in work tasks very integrator focused. And I'm kind of the same, but I actually, like, in work processes, I can be very integrator, because I have a big vision that I'm trying to accomplish, and I'm like, this has to get done, so I can integrate. Right.
Okay.
I will do what needs to be done.
Makes sense.
It doesn't make me happy, though. I'm allergic to spreadsheets.
Okay, that's the key. You can do it, but it doesn't make you happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do anything that you want to do, but will you have fulfillment in doing it? That's the key piece of it. For me, I have the most fulfillment when I'm forming relationships and building towards the future, whether that's coaching someone towards their future that they want to build, or building my own business towards the future that I want to go with that company. So that's what brings me a lot of fulfillment. So you have to find the thing that brings you fulfillment and doesn't feel like work when you're doing it.
Makes sense. Well, for right now, like me today, what brings me joy is I love being a nurse. I feel like I was feeling like out of place, because most people I talk to is like, I hate my W-2 job. I can't wait to step out of it. But I actually love being a nurse, and I want to stay a nurse. I just was given this amazing opportunity to join this community, but I don't know exactly where I fit if I still love being a nurse. So trying to navigate and grow and all of that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could be something that's more on the passive side. Like, you may be a buyer. You may be someone who is a connector. You're connecting to people. You may be something that's not as active as, like, the TC that you were considering before, where that's, you've got to be doing consistent work on the side. Or you may be doing both.
Makes sense.
You get to design your life the way that you want. So it's just, where do you feel fulfilled? A lot of people don't feel fulfilled at their W-2. So they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. But because you do, that's amazing. So build your strategy around the fact that you want to stay in that position.
Right. Oh, so good. Thank you so much, Alena. I appreciate
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Is there any current projects or anything that's specific, like that you need help with right now, or anything like that?
I am always looking for people who are feeling stuck that could use a life coach or a business strategist. I am always looking for businesses that I can either acquire or that I can work with the owner to grow. A lot of business owners are ready to retire, they're ready to
Yeah.
sell, they're ready to move on to the next chapter, and I'd love to help them with that. But then there are also a lot of business owners who are like, they're not where they want to be yet, and they can't quite figure out the strategy of moving forward. And I would love to help them with that. Even if they're not ready to sell yet, there's I can consult with them. I could, come in and coach for a referral fee, that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I want to find the places that I can really help. And I really love helping people with getting unstuck from whatever they're stuck with, and finding strategies of the most success moving forward.
Oh, you like turned it around. It's like, I need help with helping more people. I love that.
I
I love
do.
that. Servant's hearts. Servants, I love that so much. How can people find you? It looks like, is this your Instagram
This
handle?
is my everything. This is
Okay,
my
let me
everything
see.
tag. Yeah, you can find me on YouTube
Okay.
at Rise with Alena. Instagram if you're not a YouTube fan, but yeah, I'd love to see you on either platform and connect with you. That'd be fantastic.
All right. Well, thank you so much again. I will let you go enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you so much, Deanna. It was so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.